live. Okay, we're live. Pardon my hair. It's a little messy. Can you hear me okay? My mouth might be a little distorted. If you notice, I'm wearing the N95 filter mask. This is the reality of how I travel when I go outside. I just got back from shopping for supplies. Okay, quick funny story before I get into the meat of why I'm here to yell at you people, to yell at 51% of this ridiculous collection of a country, these United States. Funny story. I sell things on eBay. I had two packages to ship off, so I went into the post office. I don't like interact because they're already paid for. I just put them down. So I put them down, and my friend, the postal lady, she's got a blue mask on, one of those blue surgical ones, and she looks up at me and she goes, "Oh, you got the good mask," which I thought was funny. You know, it's like now there's a hierarchy of masks. This is an N95, and so I got it. I didn't buy it on the black market. I didn't hoard it. I didn't steal it from an old lady. I worked construction some years ago. I had these. I save everything. I had this in its container in my collection of things in my warehouse. So I pulled it out of the container. This is where I keep it when I'm home so that it keeps its structure. I'm going to take it off now. Here we go. There. Now you can see my sexy lips. Okay. All right. Enough silliness and humor, because I'm very mad. I'm angry at the United States of America. I'm angry at the citizens who have elevated Donald J. Trump, president of the United States, with a 51, who have fed this sociopath's ego with a 51% approval rating. What the hell is wrong with you people? 51% approval rating. They say, yeah, but he's doing a good job. This guy's got that. No, he's not. All he's concerned, look, he's trying to get you back to work this much sooner. He's ignoring the advice of the CDC, of the WHO, of Dr. Fauci. Who's here? Welcome. Hello. Doesn't those masks get hot? They do. Don't distract me. This is important. I took it off. They get hot, but you know what else they do? They save you from inhaling virus, from particles that will go into your throat and then settle in your lungs and eat your organs and kill you. So I think it's worth a little discomfort. Anyway, I'm back to Trump now. He wants you back to work. He doesn't care. He doesn't care about people. Yes, he originally he called it a hoax. He said, "Oh, Democratic hoax. Oh, there's only one person affected. Oh, and it'll be done." And he doesn't even want you to see that commercial. Now, the Trump administration and the White House is trying to they're trying to put a gag order on TV stations from playing the video where he dismisses COVID in the early stages when he could have been flattening the curve and sheltering people in place months ago. And it's months because that was January, where he dismissed it as a Democratic hoax. And you give this guy 51% approval rating? What the hell are you approving of? Okay, all right, you'll say, well, that's history. That was months ago. Maybe he didn't have good, okay, whatever excuse you want to make for this buffoon. The point is, yesterday and now his latest, after seeing the Dow plummet, after seeing our economy suffer because people can't go to work because they don't want to die, he's playing a whole new song. The new song is, oh, well, we'll get back by Easter. We'll be back to work. We'll get this country moving again. We'll get that hamster wheel rolling. Except he's disregarding the fact that there is a certain timeline where people get infected. It's not going down right now. China, yes. China's gone down. China, you know why? Because the Chinese government tells you stay in the house, and the Chinese people stay in the house. They didn't treat it like a joke. Plus, they're afraid that they'll get shot because, in China, they don't play this, excuse me, oh, could you please listen to us? No, they'll just shoot you. And I'm not saying they should do that here. But the other thing is, all right, let me go back to another point. The point being that the Trump administration, the current, is trying to keep the commercial off the networks. So they're essentially violating the law. I believe the First Amendment is the right to free speech. I may be wrong. I think it's the right to free speech. But whatever right it is to free speech, he is trying to violate that. So where are we now? Is this a democracy, or has this become a fascist totalitarian state? Has he become our dictator, Herr Trump? And you give him, yes, you. I don't know about you, the guy watching the show. Did you give him approval? Because if you didn't, get the hell out of my show. No, I'm kidding. But seriously, how can you approve of this guy? He wants you back to work. He's disregarding evidence that's being presented to him and mounting statistics like in New York, where the numbers, where they can't even contain the dead in Elmhurst. They have to put them in trucks now because they're dying so rapidly. And do you think by sending people to work early and disregarding the facts and the infection rate, by disregarding that, and when the people start dying more quickly, or the pandemic spreads because now they're back in contact, and I don't blame the people so much for disregard. They're afraid. People are scared for their livelihood, losing their job, not having any money to survive, to buy food for their family. So I understand people's motivation is to listen to this idiot tell you go back to work, because they want to get back. They're climbing the walls in their house. They want to get back to work. But if you disregard the facts, if you disregard science and the way this pandemic, this COVID-19 spreading like no virus has spread before, except maybe the Black Plague or the Spanish flu that they were talking about in the early 1900s. This thing is like that. It's tearing through, and it is not to be taken lightly. People die. People, and not just old. And then there's the other, don't get me off on that one. Oh, well, it's the elderly. Oh, well, it's pre-existing conditions. Listen, that's thinning the herd. But the elderly, just because you're old, you should die. I'm 60. Okay. So should I'll give up the ghost so that you guys can live. How the hell does that even make any sense? I cling to life. I love life. I love being alive. I don't love people who ignore facts. I don't love people who are listening to a man whose motivation is not the sanctity of human life. It's the almighty dollar. This Trump, that's his only concern. He's a businessman, and a failed businessman at that. How many businesses did he have that went under? A Taj Mahal casino. How do you fail with a casino? Steak company, airline, magazines. The guy fails. How many times did he plead bankruptcy? And he got his start from his father with $1 million loan. So this is not a successful guy. This is an egotistical nut. He caters to the very rich, the wealthy, his billionaire and millionaire friends. And if you call them friends, I don't know what kind of pod people they've got to be. How it's like the image of Nero fiddling while Rome burns. Yes, I understand the economy has to keep rolling, or there'll be fallout. But what about the morgue trucks that keep rolling? What about the fallout of returning to work too soon and then spreading the disease even wider and killing that many more people? People's lives matter. It's absurd to say, well, it's for the economy. The economy is people-based. People go out and spend money. If they're dead, they're not spending money. Then the economy also crumbles, because humanity crumbles, civilization crumbles. So, the only thing that came to mind with Trump and the 51% approval rating, because one commentator on ABC said, well, in times of national crisis, they tend to rally around the president. Well, yeah, rally around him if he's making sense. This guy's talking nonsense. This guy, Fauci is the head of the CDC, infectious disease. He explains, right with Trump standing right there, how these things work. What does Trump do? He ignores him. He plods ahead. Oh, well, no, we got that chloroquine now. We'll give him chloroquine and Z-Mathic and Robitussin. We'll throw some Robitussin in there. It's, you can't just throw whatever you want at it. That's not how diseases work. This thing is insidious. It's killing people. The numbers The numbers could be way worse. The numbers probably would be a little better if he'd acted sooner and didn't disband the pandemic. He had a branch right within the government, but he said, they weren't doing nothing, so we let them go. Well, now they had to be doing something, but he fired them months before because there was no pandemic at the time. Well, it's like firing your fire department because there's no fires. Well, there's no fires today, so let's just fire the fire. No, fire the police because there's no crime, and watch what happens. He wasn't equipped to respond as quickly and as efficiently as he would have been had he left things in place. This guy is Mr. Bottom line budget, dollars, spending. That's it, spending money. And then governors turn to him and say, enact the business acts where they have to make medical supplies instead of cars and things. Did he enact it? He dragged his feet about it. I don't even know if he has enacted it now. Let me read what my viewer asked. Martin says, how are we going back to work when we have to stay 6 feet away from each other? Exactly. Well, it depends on your job, I guess. I mean, if you're a dance instructor, that's not going to work. Anyway, okay, you gotta laugh. Laugh that's part of my philosophy. This is kind of gallows humor, but it's not funny when I have to walk into a supermarket with this on. And I notice now I've been going shopping every few days. So last week I go in, I'm the only guy with a mask. Today I go in, I would say a good maybe 40% of the people, shoppers, were wearing masks. I didn't see employees. I was in a ShopRite. I didn't see people behind the counters wearing them. I didn't see people stocking the shelves wearing them. And you say, well, maybe, that's knee jerk, man. You're just being, no, that's what prevents the spread. And you don't know if you're a carrier. You could be a carrier. The effects haven't shown themselves yet. So you're just, you cough on some items. They say this stuff lives on cardboard for 18 to 24 hours. It lives on surfaces. So there you go. Put that stuff in the shelf. Here comes Joe Humpty Dumpty, older guy or whatever, guy, low talk. Just put this in there. Oh, I got an itch on my nose. Boom. It's in his system. He's dead. And you say, oh, Greg, you're being a little alarmist. Yeah. Well, you know what? There's an old saying, an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. All right? Take the precautions. Now, I'd rather err on the side of caution. Call me what do you call that? Safety guy, a party pooper? Err on the side of caution. Take the caution. Yeah. When I first had the mask on, there was this couple, and the guy says to his woman, look at that guy. He's wearing a mask. I guess he want to breathe. Yeah, I'm wearing a mask. Now, true story. He went home and dropped dead because he wasn't wearing one. No, I don't know what the hell happened to him, but that's just it. There's a video. Get this now, and you might have seen this video. A woman on a plane, a young woman in her 20s, she's licking a freaking toilet seat. And she calls it the Corona Challenge. She licked a toilet seat. You don't even lick a toilet. Why the hell would you lick a toilet seat? What the hell kind of insanity? She should catch it. I don't wish it on anybody, but people like that, that's called thinning the herd. Those are people, and the people that are approval for Donald Trump, I don't wish death on them, but I do wish that they would get some enlightenment in here. I wish they would look at the big picture, the entirety. What did you say, audience member? Why are stores being boarded up in my neighborhood if things are going to return to normal? Exactly. Well, unfortunately, and that's an unfortunate reality. A lot of the smaller businesses and businesses in general have had to board up stores, shut down, let their employees go because they can't afford to stay open. They don't have the demand. Shoppers aren't going out. People are sheltering in place. Yes, it's costing a lot of money. And that's what Donald Trump doesn't seem to get or doesn't get, or you know what? Or he, in the back of his mind, he's totally aware of it, but he chooses to ignore it. He chooses to ignore it because he doesn't want to be, not on my watch, he doesn't want to be the president known as allowing the economy to collapse. But instead, he doesn't seem to care much about being the president who let human beings die. So what the hell is there to approve of? He has advisors, and they tell him, and the probably the very same advisor said, Donald, you got to stop saying this is a hoax because it's serious. You know, China has quarantined, Italy has quarantined. This is in the early stages. And then the advisors tell him, you shouldn't call it the Chinese virus because what the hell does that do? Except, and again, all right, ignore the fact that when you call it the Chinese virus, you are opening Asian people to possible violence. There are a lot of morons out there that, you know, they're in their big truck with their, you know, with their scrotum hanging off the back of the ball hook. These idiots are looking for an excuse to get into a fight. And they will do violence on Asians just because, oh, you're Chinese, you got the Chinese flu. There are idiots who won't drink Corona beer because it's called Corona and it's the coronavirus. Queen Elizabeth won't wear her crown because that's a corona. No, that's stupid. Now I'm digressing. And I don't mean to be stupid. I want to maintain the anger because I can't believe that there are still people out there that refuse to look at the facts, to consider science. It really burns me up. There are people that don't take this seriously out there. There are people, oh, Miami, you know, and college students. Well, it's an old people's disease. We got spring break, man. We got party. If I get coronavirus, I'll beat it. Well, you know, surprise, younger people die from it too. And they didn't have to be sick. They didn't take the right precaution, or their body didn't have the antibodies to fight it. Approval rating, and I've coined a new phrase, and I really want it to be trending. It's called trumpaganda. Trumpaganda. It's Trump's propaganda, but it's strictly Trump putting these things out here. Donald J. Trump. It's an election year, so he's sweating bullets. He's afraid that he won't be reelected. Why would you reelect this guy? What has he done? What has he really? Oh, you got the most jobs. Oh, you get the economy. Did he really do that? I don't think so. I don't think, if you look at the facts, this is a guy, how many lies has he told? How many lies does he continue to tell? And how arrogant is it to tell the American people, oh, well, you know, Easter is a very, I can't even do a good Trump. Easter is a time when you should all be standing next to each other in a church with the holding hands with Jesus and the Easter bunny. No, Donald. Because that is not social distancing. And this thing isn't done yet. This isn't a warm weather just automatically kill it. No, it's out there. People are transmitting it. Look at Elmhurst, Queens. Look at Andrew Cuomo, the poor guy. And what's he asking for? What unreasonable demands is he making? He wanted 40,000 masks, or not masks, 40,000 respirators, ventilators, things that force oxygen into the lungs of people who can't breathe on their own or aren't getting the oxygen because their lungs have been compromised by this virus. I read, and you know who I really, and my heart goes out to, and I saw things on Twitter, people post that doctors working on patients that have COVID-19, this one doctor, young guy, he died. He succumbed to it because, of course, he's immersed in it. Everybody he sees, it's in the air. Even if he's got a mask on, he died. There's a nurse in England. She put a video up on Twitter. It made me cry. She's got two young girls, and she was going to work, and they could see she was very sad. She was crying, and the little girl, a 2-year-old girl, said, "Mommy, why are you sad?" And she was sad because she's a nurse and she's working in the front lines, and she's afraid she'll contract it and die. And where will that leave her kids? But those are the heroes. Those are the people that are aware of the risk, but that's what their chosen path is, to heal, to make people better. They genuinely and sincerely care. What is my talkative audience? What'd you say here? How do you feel about the new currency that's about to come in? All right. Good question. I guess it's the current. If you're talking about the government stimulus, that is an issue. And that's another thing that Trump seems to be very bothered by. But I feel fine about it. I feel it's a Band-Aid. It's a quick. It will help people who have no money go and buy necessities to survive. Food. The reason I say it's a quick fix or a Band-Aid is because how long will that last? You get, it's $1,200, I think, and $500 per kid. All right. And that'll buy some groceries, and maybe that'll stretch it for maybe at best, if you're frugal, a month. And what happens after the month? Oh, well, we'll be back to work and it'll be gone. We can't predict that. This isn't that easy to dismiss. Right now, I wake up, it's a day by day procedure. I have to see what is the progression? How has it multiplied? Yes, China's gotten it down where there are no new cases, but that's because they exhibited a lot of discipline. The citizenry took it seriously. Unfortunately, in the United States of America, people don't take things as seriously as they need to. People follow false idols, like a president who says, "Oh yeah, it's a hoax, it's gonna disappear. Don't worry, but you'll see. One day you'll turn around, it's gone." Yeah, one day you'll turn around and maybe everybody's dead. And that's counterproductive. That's all right. So I guess I've run out of steam, but I just can't believe. I really can't believe that. I can't believe that you're giving credit where credit isn't due. Give credit to the scientists, the doctors, the people that are working night and day to preserve life. Not to some buffoon that gets up there, ignores the advice of Dr. Fauci, ignores the who's that? The head of the admiral guys, the Surgeon General. Although I think the Surgeon General is handpicked by Trump because he seems to kind of try to echo what Trump is saying. And there you go. There's the rub. But go ahead. Another question. Did you know now there is a limitation on what you can buy these? Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I was at the store today. I bought 4 gallons of water. They said you can only buy two cases, which is a lot, but I didn't need that much. See, that's the other thing. And that's another, okay, and that's a good point. They are limiting because again, knee-jerk reaction, they run out, and what do they hoard? Toilet paper, because God forbid if I'm sick, I should have, an unclean butthole. In a pinch, you can really just blast it with some water. But no, but what I take exception to is the hoarding, is that buying way more than you'll need with what is their intention down the road? Well, when things get real, I'll sell it. I'll sell masks. I'll sell toilet paper. I'll sell water. Those are the worst people. Those are ghouls. Do you know what a ghoul is? A ghoul robs from the dead. A ghoul will pull jewelry or gold teeth out of a corpse's mouth. That's what these people are. These are ghouls. You're hoarding. You're not thinking. You're thinking of only for yourself, and that's not what we need to do right now. Right now, yes, of course, you look out for number one, but be considerate of the fact that there are other families wanting to survive. Take what you need. Take what you need. That's what I do. We have enough to survive. We got like 2 weeks in advance, but we're not going crazy. I'm certainly not hoarding. And I certainly wouldn't sell something to people for some exorbitant price. When I was an Uber driver, people were stuck over at Secaucus. One time the trains went down and they were charging like $200 per ride, one ride to get you out of there. I wouldn't go. I didn't go. I said, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to gouge. That's just who I am. But I think, if everybody was like that, it'd be a better world. Do you think there's a bigger agenda behind all this madness? Part of me does. Part of me absolutely, because it's a time where it's very easy for people to slap on like martial law, and it may be coming to that. And it may be a control issue. An easier way, like, look, in the beginning, I pointed out how Trump is trying to trample on the First Amendment, the right to free speech, on the right to people to show him for his true colors. He doesn't like that. He doesn't like to be, shown as a liar. But what he doesn't seem to realize in this age of video recording, you say something, it doesn't die with you saying it. You can't just lie and expect people to forget that you lied. Let's go to the videotape. You go to the videotape, you see an incompetent who doesn't understand the specifics of science, the specifics of how a virus operates, and how a virus that we don't know about. Is the bigger agenda would be world control or something, or market control. You mentioned a new currency. Well, what happens? And this is just speculating. If instead of the dollar, we have a world currency as a result. I don't know if that, I mean, I don't know. Those are really big concerns. Those are beyond me. And I'll tell you why, because my immediate concern is survival. But then you say, well, you know, there's life and there's quality of life. And that's very true too. And I thank my lucky stars that I have such a wonderful quality of life right now. I know, but here in the back of my mind, I think you're aware there are people that don't have anywhere near those things. And not necessarily in foreign countries where there are people living in refugee camps and people just killed indiscriminately, like in Syria, or starved to death. There are people, even in the United States, the homeless. I asked the question, what about the homeless? They live in clusters. They can't social distance. And what do they have? And let's say one homeless in a colony gets the COVID, and boom, spread it right. And you say, well, is that really a bad thing? You kill off the homeless. Well, you know, I mean, then it's a matter of your compassion. My reason for asking is because governor says this one thing, Trump says another, and my doctor talks to me on Skype these days. Okay. All right. If I may ask, and which state do you live in, Martin? But it's very true. But regardless of what state, yeah, that's the thing. I live in New Jersey. My governor, Chris Murphy, said straight out yesterday, we don't put it. The only person that'll put a timeline on things in this state is me. And he said that, you know, in direct contrast to what Donald Trump, the president, is saying. Oh, we'll get back to work by Easter. No. See, Murphy is pointing out that he's going to stay thoughtful, and he's going to listen to the response of the medical personnel. Because if they say, no, we haven't gotten this under control. If you send people out there now, what it's going to happen is just a greater spread. But let me see what state you're in. You're in Massachusetts. Okay. All right. So you're up in Boston. Well, you got a problem with Oz too. You got to get your Oz back. No, I'm sorry. I'm just making a joke. But there you go. At least you're Skyping with your doctor. Now, and the other thing, and I hope not, but are you experiencing any symptoms? Are you coughing? Do you have the fever? Because there are lots of videos now, and I take them very seriously about how to determine if you're feeling any effects. They say it's a dry cough. They say you got to get a fever, and the breathing becomes the difficulty. And boom, right away. I mean, pneumonia. When I was 18, I had walking pneumonia. It was not pleasant. I was 18 years old. Like, I was in the Navy. I caught it on base because I went to visit a friend who had pneumonia, and boom, sure enough, I didn't have a mask on. But I didn't it didn't put me, I didn't wind up hospitalized, but I was coughing. I swear to God, I felt like I was an old man. Walking a few steps made me tired. And that happens because you're not getting the oxygen. Your lungs aren't working correctly. Now, multiply that to the point where you have to have oxygen forced into your lungs. But go ahead. You having no symptoms. Good for you. And what age are you, Martin? Because age plays a part. But it doesn't dismiss, like my own son, my good son, Joshua, he was in Japan a couple of weeks ago when this started flaring, and Japan was a big spot. And I in fear, I texted him, are you okay? And he said, listen, Dad, they're overhyping this thing, and I'm not in the demographic because he's 30. Well, surprise. And I would never wish him sick or anything. I was just scared for him. But fortunately, he's okay. He's back in the U.S. now. Back in the U.S. of A. My wife, job, also gave her a pass to drive to work, and you're 40. Okay, they gave her a pass. That means she's probably doing something that's considered essential, either working with food or in the medical profession. What does your wife do? If you don't mind my asking. I imagine, and the people that do still work, I salute you. I applaud you. I was in ShopRite today, and these two guys that were stocking the shelves, I guess one of them was a manager, and he said some woman, let's just say Mary called in and said she didn't feel good about working the shop at home. Like, that's where you pick groceries for people in the store, and they come and pick it up. And he said, well, then I told her, well, then you stay home. And then she changed her tune really quick. So in other words, he threatened her with firing or not having a job, and then she's going to come into work. That's kind of a cold-hearted, bastardly thing to do. I understand the need for them to have their employees, but there should be a little empathy, a little compassion for some acknowledging people's fears, which brings me back to Trump. Now you got that the reporter, Mark Anderson. I might have misnamed him, but he asked Trump directly. He said, well, at one of the press briefings, people are scared. What do you say to these people who are scared? Trump says, I say you're a bad reporter because you're sensationalism. Dude, bad reporter, that was your opportunity to try and calm and allay the American people's fears, to say, I think you should be calm. If you follow these guidelines, we're going to get through this. There you go. That's a strong president. That's what that would have been a good response. Not I think you're a bad reporter. And the other thing, well, go ahead. He answered the question. She's in medical. Oh, then, my heart goes out to you and your wife, because she's working and she's putting herself at risk. My best friend from college, Augie, he's a gastroenterologist. His wife, she's administration of hospital. They're going to what I consider ground zero. If you're in the hospital environment, you're near where people have this, where the volume increases. And I worry. I would hope, Martin, I hope she's wearing a mask or taking whatever precaution, doing a hand wash thing, because those are the people that are the heroes. Those are the people whose approval rating should be at 100%, not an idiot president who just tries to downplay the severity and the seriousness of this crisis. Go ahead, yeah. That's what I was thinking. Trump says, go to work. My governor says to stay. Listen to your governor. Listen to your governor. Listen. Nah, you're not lost, man. You got to listen to, I'll tell you, if you're given a choice of listening to an idiot president who's just thinking of money, and doctors and a compassionate governor who listens to the doctors, that's who you go with. You err on the side of caution. Yes. There may be economic, there's big time economic fallout right now. Airlines have suffered major losses. Businesses have suffered losses because they're not, the money isn't rolling in. But this is unlike any time, and I'm 60 years old. In my entire life, I don't remember there ever being anything like this, ever. There have been cautions when the AIDS epidemic came out. That was more like a sexual thing. Don't be going to, gay clubs or sharing needles. But to the point where people are told to shelter in home, we have never faced this before. So the procedure is kind of make it up as you go along. But again, err on the side of caution. Err. Or as you say in Massachusetts, err on the side of caution. I'm sorry, I don't mean to make fun of you. I actually, point of fact, my mother, myself, and my little sister lived in Boston from like 1963 to about 1965. So I was a Bostonian too, during the time of the Boston Strangler, by the way. And she was pregnant with my little brother, and people were coming. Her friends they were sleeping in the apartment on the floor with hatchets and things because they were young women and they were afraid of being strangled by this nut who turned out, I believe, to be a doctor. But anyway, that's another point. But yeah, Martin, that's what you got to do, man. Science. And people say we got to pray. Don't let me attack religion, but okay, pray if it eases your conscience, but again, that's not science. You're praying with hands that I hope you washed. You're not putting them in your mouth. You're not touching your eyes. You're not picking your nose to the best of your, ability to not. It's serious. There's no joke here. The joke, once again, and this is the theme of this entire broadcast, this is the title of the broadcast, is that Donald Trump has a 51% approval rating. That means more than the majority 1% more than a majority of this country, or the people polled, which I don't know, maybe they polled him at a Republican rally or something. And you can't, Trump is chomping at the bit. He wants to be president again. Why? For his ego. He doesn't care about people. He does not care about human lives. If he cared about human lives, he would have taken this seriously at the get-go and not tried to dismiss it as a hoax. You know, the problem with a lot of people, and Trump is typical, a lot of people in this country, unfortunately, think that United States of America is the only country on the planet, and it's not. Obviously, there are hundreds of other countries. China, we get most of our goods from China. We get imported goods from everywhere, and people travel the globe and then they come back here. We live in a world. We're all in the same boat. You know what we have in common? Even if we don't speak the same language, we breathe air. We have internal organs, all the same stuff. We're all human beings that want to survive. We want food. We want to laugh. We want music. We want art. We want to celebrate. We want to live this life we're given healthily, in a healthy way. The people who lived and have gotten used to nothing but dollars and cents, they're missing the point of quality of life. Go ahead, Martin. Do I think Trump insulted some of the world's leaders? Yes, absolutely. He insults them all the time. That's my cat here. But anyway, yeah, of course he insults them. He insults them by downplaying this, by saying they overreacted. You know, look at Italy. Italy, in the beginning, first they locked down the northern end, Milan, because it was happening. Then they locked down the whole country. And yeah, I'm sure that Trump was like, what did I look at that? That's overkill. Oh, look at him. Now they have one of the highest death tolls, and Spain right behind them. And yeah, of course you insult. How about the president or prime minister? I don't know who's running China, what their government system is. I think it's a president, might be a king. No, I'm pretty sure they have a president or prime minister. But by calling this the Chinese virus, don't you think that insults the billions of people in China? Like they did it, like it's their fault? Maybe it happened to originate there, but I don't think they actively said, oh, yes, let's create a virus to kill the entire world. Chinese people are like us. I know Chinese people, they make the best food. It's so tasty, but they want to live. They want to live. And the reason they've contained it is because in the beginning, when they told them to stay indoors, when they told them to take the precautions, they listened. They listened. And that's what we got to do. But listen to this, the sense versus sense. That was my other broadcast where I said SENSE versus CENTS. You can nickel and dime and worry about your bank account and worry. And that's a concern because we're used, that's our system. We buy things with money. I'm no different. I worry if I got no money and I go into the store, what do I have to, at that point, am I desperate? Do I have to steal things and run out? Be chased, be killed, because I want to eat? Is this like Jean Valjean in Les Mis, where he gets in prison for stealing a loaf of bread to feed his family? It hasn't gotten to the desperate level yet, but it may. So yes, I'm just as concerned about finances, but I also know, and there's an old saying, I'm sure you've heard this one, you can't take it with you. You die, your heaps of money, your trunk full of dough, the money you stuffed in your mattress is paper. It won't do you a damn bit of good. Rats won't even eat it. What the hell? It's paper. What? It doesn't even taste good. It's meaningless. It's a tool. Right now, we have to prioritize. And the priority is to live to see another day. To quote a Bond film that got pushed ahead, this is no time to die. No time to die. So all right. So I'm ranted out. I actually have to get to work. And my work is at home. My work is right here. I will show you. That's my job right there. I talk into a microphone. I narrate books. My voice is my money. No, I mean, among other things, I sell things on eBay. You want to buy a cowboy hat? I'll sell you that one. No, I play with my cat. Come here, cat. What are you doing over there? What are you doing? Come here. You want to make a picture? Come here. Come here. Don't you run. Come here. want to show them you. This is my Ella Bella baby. Ella Bella baby. We have a love-hate thing. Most of the time she loves me, except that's usually when I'm trying to sleep. And now she's up and she wants to go. She's like, no, I don't want to cuddly wuddly. I want to run around and look at stuff. All right. She gets crazy when I start my recording because I have to close her out. And I have to shut the door, and she scratches on the door. And then I have to re-record because because I can't have little cat scratch noises in the back of what I'm making audiobooks out of. Thank you, Martin. Martin, I'm so glad you came by, man. I sincerely mean that, because it's nice to, to hear from people, other people like yourself. And if you don't subscribe to me, then I would say subscribe. No, I don't care. I really don't care about that. I mean, my ego does, but not during an emergency time. In the emergency time, what I wish is that people would share this video and that people would listen to the sincerity and the urgency in my voice. This is not a time to be praising a useless leader or an inadequate leader, or a leader whose focus, whose priorities are misguided, to say the least. See, now I'm not calling him an idiot or imbecile. I'm not insulting. I'm saying that this is an emergency time. And this is somebody who is coming, is clearly indicating that his priorities are skewed. He's looking at the economy as the be all and end all. People are the be all and end all. When we stop, everything stops. What'll be left? Rats, cockroaches to eat our rotting corpses? And and this now, I'm stone cold serious. Don't jump the gun, Donald Trump. Don't be sending people back to work, because you're essentially condemning them. Think about that. If the coast isn't clear, you say, all right, it's gone. We're good. You just go to work and social distance. Sit 6 feet apart. No. If this thing is still active, if this COVID is still rampant, as it is in New York City and in many other states, in New Jersey, we're one of the top. Philadelphia, I live in South Jersey. Right next door is Philly, and they're overwhelmed at the hospitals right now. They can't even fit like the people they need to. Elmhurst General, my daughter was born there 38 years ago. Oh my God, 39. Jeez. But that's beside the point. My point being it's grim. It's grim. And in an emergency time, we've got to take emergency measures. So that's it. 51% approval means you're not getting it, people. This guy, what absolutely galls me? I'll tell you what galls me. I grew up in Jersey City. Jersey City is right across the river from New York City. Okay. And you say, well, what the hell has that got to do with anything? It's got to do with mentality. I'm a Northeasterner, okay? I love New York. I used to go there as a kid. It was like, oh, it's such a cool place. It's got culture, it's got art, it's got Greenwich Village. But what I didn't love is there is a certain, and I've worked for these people. I've worked for this mentality. It's the New York City bullshit con man mentality. It's the what can I do you for? It's fuck you. That's Donald Trump. You know what? I mean, we'll go back to, and you know why I'm so incensed at Trump? I'll give you another example. Back before he was president, when he was building some structures in, I believe it was Dubai or Arab Emirates, he was now there were people traveling from hundreds of miles, construction people, just to feed their family, and he was paying them substandard wages. Now, and they took it because they were desperate. And he could have paid them a fair wage. And, and here's how I know the story. There was one female reporter at a press conference where he was talking about, oh, we're going to make these beautiful. And she had the gall to ask the question, why are you paying the workers, your construction people, substandard wages? And did he answer the question? Oh, no. He quietly and patiently waited while some goons, some Arabic goons came and lifted her up and physically removed her from the press conference because she dared to ask a valid question. Just like, and then, bring it back to 2020, to last week, a couple of days ago, where the one reporter says, "What do you say to Americans who are scared?" And he blew it. Donald Trump, New York City bullshit con man. It's the type, this con man, instead of saying they should remain calm, they should listen to the advice of professional healthcare people, instead of saying anything like that to try and ease this fear, he calls out the reporter and says, "I say you're a terrible reporter." It's all about him. Oh, the other thing I wanted to point out is in the midst of, these briefings, Trump says, and nobody said what a great job we're doing. Somebody asked him, well, what number would you give? Oh, I'd give us a 10. We're doing a great job. We're doing. Does this man's shoulder hurt from patting himself on the back? And now he's got you, and I don't mean you, Martin, but I mean 51% of the United States of America giving him approval. And I honestly question that poll. I question the source. Is that a valid or a viable pollster? Or is it Trump's minions? Is it Trump's Republican lackeys, trumpaganda, releasing bogus stats? Because I really don't think any sensible American, I got to believe that most of us, the majority of us, are sensible. We listen to common sense. We listen, yes, the president is the top the top leader in our political system. That doesn't mean he's always right. And in this case, it's the entire opposite. It's the absolute. Look, they got a shot, and you've probably seen it, where Fauci was standing off to the side, and Trump was talking about the deep state, and he tried to stifle a laugh by like pretending to brush his hair away, because it's like, what a joke this guy is. Hey, I'm doing something here. Stop that. She's playing with the widget. But you see what I mean? That's what I mean. I mean, they're turning to a leader who is ill-equipped to handle this kind of emergency. He's not the authority. He's not the person to be trusting. If let's say Trump gets on a press release, he gets on a public, whatever they call it, where the briefing on TV. He gets on a TV briefing and says, let's say April 12th, which is only 14 days away. We got the all clear, folks. Go back to work. We're going to get this economy up, and it's going to be the strongest. We're the greatest nation in the world. Go back to work. Don't go back to work. Only go back to work if you're in an emergency situation, if your healthcare providers, do a consensus. Is it safe? And if you really do, and I understand the fear, get a mask. If you can't get the N95, which I got because I worked in construction, make a mask. Make something to cover your face. Sanitize. Do the social distance. Take every precaution you can take if you want to stay alive. Because this is no joke and this is no game. This is staying alive. Yeah. Martin wrote, Trump's government is about to take a big hit. Well, and rightfully so, because you're judged by your actions in a time of an emergency. There's two ways to go. You could panic, or you can be sensible, and you can rely on facts, and you can rely on experts. The experts I take seriously are people who work with this all their lives. A guy like Fauci, he's an infectious disease specialist. He has nothing to gain. They're not trying to, it's not fear mongering to tell people the precautions to take. It's life maintaining. That's what he's doing. Those are your doctor that you're FaceTiming with. That's a sensible decision. Your governor, your Massachusetts governor is also being cautious, just like our New Jersey governor, Chris Murphy. And I got to applaud him for that. He comes on every day and he makes it painfully clear. that he's not going to listen to the president if the president is talking nonsense. Same thing with Cuomo, Andrew Cuomo. And okay, and while we're on Cuomo, because that's another thing, another headline I read is that Donald Trump, New York businessman, failed New York businessman, presently the president of the United States by some other tomfoolery or trickery, which I won't even get into. He's there. By some Twilight Zone lucky break, Trump is there as president. But Andrew Cuomo disrespected him in some way. This is what I read in the article. Because Cuomo disrespected Trump, maybe because he wouldn't swallow Trump's line of bullshit, or maybe he called bullshit. So that embarrassed Trump. And because he's embarrassed, well, if you're not nice to me, then I'm not going to send you the help you need. That's my Trump. But you see what I mean? It's like, how petty can you be in a time of crisis, in a time of emergency? Is Cuomo making unreasonable demands to say, I'd like to keep the citizens of my state alive? I'd like to prevent them from dying because they can't breathe, because their organs have failed them, because they shut down and they can't get medical attention. I'd like to protect my first-line medical personnel from dying. That's totally reasonable. That's preservation of life. That's doing the job a leader is supposed to do. A leader looks out for the people he's been entrusted to lead. Donald Trump is not a leader. He is not a leader. He's not looking out for the people he's entrusted to lead. He's looking out for a select few, the people up at the 1%, the people making millions and billions of dollars. Why? I don't know. To play golf with together, to laugh at the peons, to live that privileged life. But that is inexcusable, and that is not something that earns you an approval rating. Okay? It's trumpaganda. Trumpaganda. Okay? That's what it is. It's Donald Trump's bullshit New York City, what can I fuck you for? What can I do you out of mentality? You know, screw you later. It's let me underpay these people because I know they're desperate and they'll take whatever I throw them. It's stiff a guy that's done some work for me because I know it'll cost me less to fight him in court and he still won't get paid. That's a despicable mentality. Now my dander is up. Now my anger is yeah, absolutely. Because I cannot fathom that people are that gullible to believe an act, and the act is the minimal concern for people's lives, for you, your wife, your children, your grandparents. It's people, just people in general, our fellow Americans, everybody out there. I'll tell you something. I'm one of the most antisocial people you'll want to meet. I like staying home. I go outside. I curse at drivers in the street when I'm behind them. I am an impatient person. I know it. I'm in the grocery store today. I'm like, you better social distance. Don't you cough near me. I hate you. Yeah, why? Because you can infect me. But you know what? That's me. That's my own issue. I got to work on it. But I am aware of that. And the other thing is, I sincerely love being alive, and I know other people love their lives, and I get along very well because I have charisma and because I pretend that I like you. No, it's just it boils down to I understand that everybody's out there. Everybody has a right to live. So just live sensibly. You know, your happiness and your pursuit stops at my happiness and my pursuit. As long as we don't interfere with each other, as long as we don't try to prevent each other from having a decent life, everything should be good. It should be good. And as long as we listen to science and not politicians whose concern is an idea. Because think about money. What is money? It's a physical thing we hold in our hand, but it's really just a concept. It's like, well, this represents work you did. So now you can buy an item because of that work you did. Think about it now with credit cards and Venmo and your phone. You're making payments. You don't see the money. It's Bitcoin. It's an idea that, okay, your concept was exchanged for finished product, for goods. But think about if you're dead. not to sound silly or trite, but if you're dead, you don't need to eat, you don't wear clothes, you don't do anything, you don't think, nothing's going through your head, you're dead. I'm not going to get into the afterlife with, oh, you waited heaven for God to enter. Oh, you go to hell because you're evil. No, I'm not playing that. I don't know that. I don't believe that because it sounds pretty far-fetched. Because then what do you get? You get an eternity of just like, oh, jeez, it's great. I love it. Now, I don't know. I mean, really, that I'm not going to get into that. I'm getting into the immediacy and the reality of our situation today, March 27th, 2020, in the United States of America. This is where I live. But I am aware of the fact that I'm on planet Earth with a world. We're all in the same boat. All of us are united by the desire to live, and not just live, but live with happiness, with healthily, with good health, to be able to laugh, to be able to surround ourselves with friends and people we love, to be able to enjoy art and the creativity that so many gifted and talented people have. That's it. That's all. And to enable a system of government that keeps things running smoothly. But with that system of government, leaders who understand the needs of people, who treat people the way they want to be treated. Imagine, and I'm not wishing this on him. I'm not, I don't want any Secret Service coming and saying, you want the president dead. But imagine if Trump contracts COVID. It's possible. I think, and I'm not wishing it on him, but I'm saying the scenario would be very different if his own life was in danger, if his own health was compromised. I think then he would listen very carefully to doctors and specialists who told him what needed to be done. It changes your perspective to put yourself in someone else's situation. My heart goes out to people that are suffering with this, to families who have lost other family members to this, to medical professionals who are on the front line and may have died or may have contracted this because they're devoted, because they're determined to preserve life. And that's it. I can't really say much more. I've said it all. Watch the video, share the video, be sensible. Martin, thank you for joining me. I do appreciate it. And everyone else, thank you all. The silent people who didn't type anything in there, you know who you are. But my name is Gregory Leoe. I'm a human being. I'm a human being. I'm incensed. I'm disappointed. I'm really disappointed if that's a factual survey that 51% of these people by the there's no other word except bullshit, the insincerity of this New York City con man who is currently the president of the United States. Donald Trump, if somehow somebody shows this to you, I'll speak to you directly. Prioritize. Humans first. Sensibility first. Science first. The health and well-being of your constituency, of the United States, of the world first. Economy, it will right itself down the road. It will. We could start things back up. We had a depression. Things were rough, and then we threw a war in there, and that's the way of the world. But the reality, and okay, I didn't mention the word love. And I really think that's an essential. Love is an essential ingredient, because if you do things with love, you put yourself above others. It's, you do it. And in a way, they say, well, you be selfless. Well, it's not being selfless, because it gives you a wonderful feeling to do for others. So that's your reward. Compassion. Thank you for listening to my rant. I'm going to go now, but I'm not done. As long as I got electricity and Wi-Fi, you'll see me again. Thank you. Goodbye.